Hey guys, it is your girl Abia Grant here. Welcome to Reflection by Abia. This is episode number 2, and we are going to be talking about self awareness in this episode and self improvement and kind of just really what self awareness means. But before I go ahead and get into this podcast, I just want to say, guys, that for me, today has been an interesting day. I woke up with this, I don't know, this sense of just, I can accomplish anything and I just felt a sense of motivation today. And I don't, I feel like it's coming from, yesterday I was watching this YouTube video with Cat Williams. And it was something that he has said in a YouTube video in regards into living every day as if you are not going to be here tomorrow. And this is the way that he lives his life. And I feel like a light bulb just went off in my head in regards into like, if there's something that I want to do, if there's someplace I want to be, if there's somebody I want to talk to, if there is anything out there that I've just been hesitant about, I'm going to do it. I'm going to not allow for I'm not going to allow, you know, how humans are. We start to, okay, what's going to be the impact or what's going to be the outcome? Is it going to be good or bad? And just him really saying that just is like puts more pep in my step for doing this podcast, continuing with the stuff with my YouTube channel, continuing to show up. Today I went and I worked out today and I just felt so motivated, and I felt like a breath of fresh air, because again, we don't know if tomorrow is going to be promised. So why are we going to sit here and worry about, I mean, 9 times out of 10, well, hopefully we will be here tomorrow. But there's a chance that we won't be here tomorrow. So the thing is, why am I gonna, if it's something I want to do, if it's something I want to accomplish, why am I gonna allow fear or the unknown to get in my way? No, I'm going to push myself. I'm going to do things that, yeah, it's scary, but the outcome could be something so beautiful. And I just wanted to, it's on my heart, and I wanted to talk about that in the intro of this podcast. So if you needed to hear it, great. I hope that it pushes anyone who may be listening to this, and you reach the goals and do the things that you want to do. So, with that, let's go ahead and get into this podcast. So, guys, I want to talk about self awareness. I want to start off there because this podcast is about approving ourselves and understanding ourselves and moving better than how we moved before. And I feel like the only way to move better is to one, know yourself and to be aware of how you move in the world, what part you play, you know, what part can you do better? What part can you maybe not react? You know, sometimes we just don't necessarily need to react. We just need to let the chips fall where they may. So let's talk a little bit about what self-awareness means. And I wrote down just a quick little short definition. And I have here that it means acknowledging your thoughts, your feelings, and your beliefs. And that is what self-awareness in a couple of words means. But I feel like for me, one of the things that I had trouble with, and it's something that I work on every day, is being present in knowing how I feel about a situation. Um, I've been the kind of person where in the past I would put my feelings on the back burner, or I will think something about something and maybe not speak on it because maybe I didn't want to deal with the outcome of the situation. Um, Sometimes I would put other people's feelings before myself because I just thought it would be easier. Sometimes I would just hide. I would close off and you would not get to know who I am because I choose not to open up. And that's something that I have struggled with, in which I every day is a work in progress. Every day it's me working on trying to move better than how I have moved before. And I think that a lot of times the only ways to really see this, I can only speak for myself, is for me, I found out just in my relationship of, my partner basically stating that this is how you are reacting to the situation. This is how you are behaving to the situation. And I don't like it. And I was just kind of like, well, this is how I deal with things in the past. So kind of don't know any better. Kind of don't know how any other way to maneuver, you know. And apologize guys. I'm just turning my iPad on here so I can stay on track. And I just was really unknowledgeable. So I said to myself, there's going to be a couple of ways I could go about this. I need to figure out what I'm doing that I could do better. So I decided to go to therapy. And with therapy, that opened up a door of me being able to express how I feel without feeling like somebody was going to judge me, without feeling like that I wasn't understood. And I started to process what was coming back, what my therapist will bring to light, I guess you can say. How to deal with certain interactions or certain situations. A lot of it stemmed from how I grew up and the impact of those relationships and everything that I did have in my past, or lack of relationships. And it played a very big part in my current circumstances in regards to just really having the inability to be solid, meaning like that I couldn't ask for help. I was a person who, if I needed to go to get groceries and run to the store and do this or whatever it may be. I will do everything. I will put everything on my shoulders and be honestly pissed off because I was doing everything, but I was unable to allow for another person to come in to help when I needed help. And that stemmed from just the thoughts of feeling like I'm in this by myself because how my upbringing and the things that I did see was that you couldn't rely on others and others will not be supportive or would not be there. And I had to basically cut that cord and say, this person is not X, Y, and Z from back then. You know, um, I can't put my partner in the same shoes as whoever before because he's a completely different individual. That is a lesson within itself. One of the things when I was listening to another podcast, they were saying is that when you are in a relationship, that's when you really truly learn about yourself, and how you maneuver. And sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad. So I just want to talk about how Mm, and I can't say necessarily in my situation. Um, I don't think that for me it was a lack of not knowing. Well, actually, let's go back. It's I was willing to change my behavior, but it was a lack of not knowing. That's the correct way to put it. And it was, again, when it's presented to me, how I saw it for what it was. So, after therapy, one of the things that I did do and try to do is have more open dialogue with my partner, with family, with friends, and try to really sit with what was being said to me. Also, in addition to that, I sit with myself more often now instead of, I've kind of been a person also at the same time, which is, I guess, the word contradicting to what I just said that have been reactive. Um, I guess it's what's that saying, fight or flight kind of situation. So I feel like I am a person that's on both sides of the fence, I guess you can say. And I'm just tired of being on both sides of the fence. I just want to be better. I want to feel like my responses and how I deal with a particular situation is not let me fight through it or let me run away. I want to be able to face the situation and I want to be able to respond the way that will make me feel good about the outcome and or as well not make that other person feel some type of way like they feel that the end goal was in a positive mindset. And I'm not saying that every single time the outcome is going to be perfect. Let's just be real. Let's just be real with ourselves, and the outcome is not always going to be what we want it to be. But we have to think about the part that we play in a situation, regardless of whoever it may affect or whoever is involved in that circumstance. We have to know that the part that we are in it, we're doing what we need to do, that we feel sound. We don't feel like, oh gosh, the response that I gave was not the best. Um, the actions that I displayed was not the best. And, as I said, sometimes what I do is I sit with those feelings. I sit with the discussion. Sometimes I don't respond right away. You know, I like to also play things back in my head and dissect the situation so I could be able to see the other person's point of view. Because sometimes what happens, I feel like we don't necessarily, in the situation, for me, I can be reactive. So therefore, I have to sit on it and ponder for a little bit and not respond right away, which is hard. Guys, it's one of the hardest things that I can do for me, one of the hardest things for myself. But I find that that's better for me to do that rather than voicing and then, coming back apologizing because of my reaction, So, yeah. So, some of the other ways I find that you can self improve is do your own research. Do look into possibly books or YouTube or social media, whatever the case may be, or I don't know, other options that's out there, and really try to figure out what it means to be self aware and how to self improve. As I mentioned before, I like to sit with my thoughts, nice and quiet. A lot of times I sit in my room. Um, Therapy works as well too, as I mentioned before. And I just want to say that, guys, it's not going to be an overnight situation. It would not be. There are parts of my life in which I do respond, you know. But one of the things I can say is that once you become self-aware, one, you stop repeating what you did before. You're no longer responding, behaving, doing something that that you don't feel right in doing. And then also you feel that sense of relief. Um, and also you will notice that people will start opening up more to you because they would see that, she has this aura about her. She understands. She's able to look at a situation from different points of view. She's not saying, okay, it's this and you cannot deviate left or right. You know what I mean? And I think that that is one of the best places to be. That's where I try to be. I try to be understanding in regards into the road can go either way. So I have to just be okay with that. I have to be okay with that and understand that if it's my particular situation, that we have control over, well, control is really left up to God. Let's be honest with you guys. We have control over ourselves to a certain extent. However, if we're being stirred in a certain direction, we have to allow that stirring to go. Like one of the things that I talked about in episode number one was in regards to, I feel like I kept being presented with, you need to do a podcast, you need to do a podcast. And I'm, like, I don't know if I really want to take this on. Who's going to care about what I got to say? You know? But at the end of the day, I had to understand that, hey, I may not be in everybody's ears, but I will be in some people's ears. And some people's ears is better than no ears at all. If I can help some people, then that's better than me not doing anything at all and not helping anybody, you know? And also feel like, and I'm a big believer in God and everything, not religious or anything like that, but I'm a big believer that God presents you with, and I'm sorry that I'm pausing right here because this is a podcast, but God presents you with a message and you got to listen, you know. You have to listen. I mean, you could decide to ignore, but 9 times out of 10, the outcome that you want for yourself is probably or may not happen because you're not listening to the calling, because I feel like we all are called to do something. I don't think that we are a part of this universe just to be here. I think we all play a part and we have to figure out what our part is. And a lot of times God does present it to us, but it's if we choose to listen or we choose not to listen. So, you know, that's just how it be. So guys, yeah, that is this podcast. I really wanted to touch base on that in regards to self-awareness, the lack of self-awareness and speaking about my situation in particular and how you can improve on your circumstances and the things that you can do. What I'm also going to do is, God willing, in the show notes, I'm going to put in there, just highlight some bullet points that I jotted down in regards into touching on each of these points so that maybe this could be a starting point for you, if you're trying to become more self-aware and possibly use some of the resources that has helped me, and everything. And as I mentioned before, I am not perfect. I mess up just like anybody else. The only person out here, the only thing that is perfect out here is God. That's it. All of us, all the rest of us, we are not perfect. We are going to mess up. We are going to, make mistakes and everything. So I want to go ahead and just end this podcast with a quote. I think that's kind of what we're going to do here. For my YouTube channel, I normally start off with a quote, but I'm going to end this podcast with a quote that I'm going to read to you guys. And again, it's going to be listed down below. And I hope that it leaves you in a good space. Because as I stated before, this podcast is about positivity. It's about being a better person walking away with something that maybe you didn't walk in the door with. And now that you listen to me and, you know, what I feel like is being pushed through my body to your ears is, beneficial for you. So the quote is basically, your journey will be lighter and easier if you do not carry your past with you. And I'm going to read that again. Your journey will be lighter and easier if you don't carry your past with you. And for me, just before we go ahead and end, is that we have to work on our troubles, the things that is keeping us up at night, the things that are not allowing us to reach our wins. We have to face them and we have to let them go. For the simple fact is that we are hampering ourselves, I feel personally, from reaching our goals if we're continuing to hold on to past things. For me, again, it's something that I personally dealt with and dealing with. And I'm at a part in my life in which I'm choosing to let healing come and let it go, you know, because festering on it and picking at it and opening up the wound after they're done healed, after you've put in the work and done what you needed to do with it, it's just going to sit on your heart and it's going to sit on your soul. And as I, you know, introduce this podcast by saying is that we are not granted tomorrow. So why am I going to fester on something that is no longer a part of my life anymore? What is going to be positive out of that situation? Heal. It's very important to heal. I'm not saying ignore. I'm saying heal, find the tools in order to deal with that situation, but don't continue to pick at it once it's healed because we have to move on to the next thing. We can't expect for positive things to come into our lives if we keep harping on the negative. That's just my personal feelings. You may disagree, and that's fine. We all are, think differently and that's okay. But that is where I'm at. So that is where I'm going to close today's podcast. I hope that you guys did enjoy this. Okay. I really did. I felt like this was a good episode number 2. I really do feel like it was a good episode. So guys, stay blessed, okay? Stay blessed. We are dealing in a world where we need as much blessings out there as much as we can get. So stay blessed. Make sure that you treat each other out there kindly. And God willing, I will see you next time.